like, I stole it from somebody, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, what do you? And he's like, he thought about it for a second. It's actually a pretty good idea. It's like, he's like, you mean nobody's doing this yet? I said, nobody's doing this. He goes, nobody's doing it. I go, nobody's doing it. He's like, you mean to tell me the Yellow Pages isn't doing it yet? And I'm like, no, not really. I go, I don't think Yellow Pages even has a website yet. If they did, and they didn't list anybody yet, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't. It wasn't like that yet.
Right.
And it's all right. Like, show me what you mean, right? Like, just mock it. Like, and it's so funny. Like, this little practice that this way of thinking that my dad kind of set me on, which was, you know, if you have an idea, like, don't wait for anybody's permission. Basically, like, just go do it.
Yeah.
Right. So he said, by him saying, show me what it looks like. That's what he said. He said, show me what it looks like. You know, what is it? Show me. Right. I went up to my old bedroom, my parents' house, which my bedroom was literally like 10 by 10, super small. Right. Crammed in there with the computer, and I'm clicking away, and I'm creating this thing. We called it SI Now, Staten Island Now. Right. At the time, CD Now was big. Right. So I figured, you know, start to poke at some brand familiarity, so when people see it, they feel like they've heard it before, right?
Yeah.
Maybe leverage their marketing dollars a little bit, right?
That's right. There's a lesson right there for sure.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So already my mind kind of had this brand oriented kind of, you know, way of thinking, and again, unconsciously, nobody ever told me to do that. It's just something that I just kind of figured out on my own. So I start creating this website. I bring it down to my dad. I show him the homepage of our website, the main website, and then I show him, okay, here's what I'm thinking for like a mock business, what a mock business would look like on our website. And we literally created 3 simple pages: homepage, direction page, coupon page. That's it.
Nice.
Right?
Yep.
So it was essentially an online business card for the local businesses in which they could be found, right? And then if they wanted to get really crazy, would do a gallery page, but that would be an upcharge, of course. Right. So we figured, okay, we could probably sell this for $350. Let's, you know, we'll give it a shot, right? My dad, I didn't have a laptop at the time. I had a big ass computer, right?
Yep.
So Dad's, all right, we're gonna need a laptop now, right? And I'm like, oh wow, my laptop. I'm like, that's super cutting edge. But at the time too, these laptops were huge. They were still really, really big. They were the size of, like, imagine like a family size cereal box. Like, They were that kind of size. They were big
and heavy,
right? Super heavy.
Yep.
So we went to Circuit City at the time, and my dad ended up purchasing us a floor model laptop to get the most discount we could possibly get, right? Like, we'll take this one. And the guy was like, all right, cool, I'll get it in the back. He's like, no, we want this one. This is the one we want. You give us a discount, all right? It's floor model discount? Sure, whatever. They give it to us like 10 or 15% off, whatever it was. Yeah. Whatever. It's meaningful dollars, right? I mean, in business, right? Any dollar you could save is a dollar fucking earned, right?
That's right.
So we got this laptop, and again, we don't know if this is going to work. We have no idea. The internet is not a matured place yet, and it's not something that, you know, people are still kind of discounting it, saying it's a fad, right? Remember that. So I loaded the website up on a floppy disk, loaded it onto the laptop. You know, the demo of the site, which was actually what it ended up not looking like. It ended up looking like something completely different. But whatever, it was good enough to start getting us to sell.
Demos, yeah. Yep.
Exactly. So my dad was like, all right, cool. He's like, I'm going to do this with you on the weekends. Because my dad had a full-time job. My dad was a full-time, essentially a paper salesman, right? Like Thunder Mifflin, like, you know, like real life Mike Scott, right?
Nice.
His jokes are just as bad. So I'll do this with you on the weekends, which is honestly like just how awesome is that? Like, you know, like this is just a really, really awesome thing. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm excited and pumped. And he wakes me up early on a Saturday, and he's like, you ready? I'm like, I'm ready for what? He's like, let's go. I'm like, come on, let's go. Grab the laptop, let's go. And I'm like, where are we going? Like, you know, like, what do you mean? Because I'm thinking the way this is going to go is, you know, he's going to make a couple of phone calls and set up appointments, and then we'll go. Right? Fuck that. My dad's old school as fuck.
Real cold calls.
Yeah, exactly. go. I'm like, where are we going? He's like, we're gonna go. We're gonna go sell. And I'm like, don't you have to set up appointments? You can't just barge into people's offices and businesses and just do that, right? And I'm like, this is my way. This is my thing. I hadn't learned a lot of things in business yet. I didn't understand a lot of these lessons yet, right? So he's no. He's like, we're gonna go knock on door to door. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's petrifying to me, because believe it or not, as extroverted as I am now, as a kid who literally lived behind a computer, I was super shy.
Right.
You could imagine, like you got to remember, like these are these things that I did as a kid were very solitary experiences. If you think about it, right? I was behind a computer teaching myself all these things, and I didn't have to ask anybody for anything. I didn't have to interact with anybody. I didn't have to ask for anybody's permission. I just did what I wanted to do because the computer would do whatever I wanted to do, but whenever I pressed a button or by the click of a mouse, right?
Yeah.
So I really didn't have aside from interacting with my dopey friends, who essentially when you're young, you don't care like what your friends think about you. They're your friends. You don't care, right? Now my dad's asking me to go talk to matured businessmen, right? Who own businesses. So I'm petrified. I'm like, this is not going to go well, right? Like, are you sure?
What great experience, man.
Like, talk about from the fire, like with a frying pan into the fire, like literally, right? Like it was very, very scary. So I remember we pulled up to it was a pool supply store. We were driving around the neighborhood, and it was a pool supply. So we were going to go in there. My dad points. I said, why a pool supply store out of all the places? What pool supply store? Why a pool supply? Let's find another place. Like, it was like everything in my being was like almost anything to delay going into one of these shops.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, no, like, I mean, as a kid who's shy, like the biggest fear you have is rejection, right? Because I knew for a fact, like, if I hear a rejection right now as a kid, and this is my idea, like, you're super fragile, like it's going to destroy you. Right? It's going to destroy you. What I didn't think about is, what if it goes the other way?
Yeah.
Right? So, again, I was because I was just so crippled by fear, really. It's really what it was. So he said, all right, we're going to go in. Let's go. And I'm like, all right, like, sure. Like, let's go. So we walk into this pool supply store, and again, all the signs in the store were like, pointing towards, you're going to get your ass kicked in this place. You know what I mean? Like, I walk in, it's dimly lit, like, it's just daylight that's kind of lighting the place up. There's the dust on the shelves. There's nobody in the store. Even the owner is in the back room.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, walking, hello, the bells jingle, whatever. Guy comes shuffling out, like, from hello, I'm like, oh God. And I'm like, is
the guy doesn't own a telephone. He doesn't need a website.
Exactly. I'm thinking, like, this is the worst idea possible, walking into this place. So my dad immediately jumps into the pitch. Hi, my name's Steve Alson, Staten Island now. We have this online business directory. If you have a few minutes, we'd love to walk you through our demo. Right? Smooth, super smooth. Like, my dad's like the consummate salesman professional. Like, just super smooth. Nothing could possibly shake him. And then and then the guy goes, the guy had nothing else better doing. He had nothing going on in there, So the guy was like, okay, like, cool. Like, if anything else, I'd get a good laugh. I'm thinking, like, that's what he's thinking. That's what I'm thinking he's thinking.
Yeah.
Right. So again, my dad, just being the great salesman that he was, while I'm opening up the laptop, he's building the relationship with this guy. Again, these are all things, that I didn't realize, these techniques and these, the innate ability of a good salesman.
Right.
So my dad starts, going into jokes, ha ha ha, they're laughing, the jokes are rolling, the guy's starting to vibe with my dad. My dad's starting to, like, really create a good little, like, rapport with this guy within, like,
moments.
It's a matter of minutes. Yeah. And I'm starting to feel a little easier. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now I get the laptop open. I start going through the demo, because my dad's doing the pitch. Because I was so petrified, like, I couldn't
Good talk.
Stumble
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
So I'm driving essentially on the laptop, clicking through while my dad is, and you get your home page, you get your direction page, and you get your coupon page, and you know the whole pitch is flowing really 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 well, and the guy was almost sick of my dad's pitch because my dad was doing such a good job, and the guy cuts my dad off mid pitch. Okay, how much? Right, like that. So my dad goes, we're doing an introductory rate because you'll be our first of 10 customers or whatever. We'll give it to you for $350 for your first year. Okay. Pauses for a minute. Okay. That goes okay. You take check? That's what he said. You take check? Yeah, we take checks. We take checks. We didn't even have a bank account open.
I love it, man. That's amazing.
Have a bank account open yet because the idea was let's see if this
collect
works.
Some checks first. Let's see
let's see if it works, right?
Wow.
Right? So sure, yeah, write it out to Staten Island now. Okay.
I love it. That's amazing.
Unbelievable. And of course, I mean, I'm not even kidding you. As I tell you the story, I literally my hair is standing up on my arm. It gives me chills because like it was such a transformative moment in my life. Like it literally, the light was just like, holy shit, my ideas can make money, like real money. And look, here's the thing: $350 in hindsight, like, it's not fuck you money, right? It's not like like oh my god, like I'm rich,
right?
But to me, that $350 might as well have been $1 million. You know what I mean?
Validation.
Like validation. It changed my complete way of thinking of like being scared, right? Like because I told you I was petrified, like this of rejection. I'm like, whoa. You mean to tell me I could come up with like ideas like this, pitch them to people, and possibly get money in return? I mean, obviously the work is ahead of us, obviously, but wow, what a mind-blowing experience for, like I said, a 17-year-old at the time. You know what I mean? Like that was a very, very interesting moment in my life, and it changed my life for the rest of my life. It really did. It changed everything. And then we left. We were through the roof. You could imagine the excitement in the car. On the car ride home. He's like, "All right, it's like we got momentum. Let's go try another one." So we did. We ended up closing that weekend, I believe, 4 or 5 businesses.
Nice.
So you could imagine we opened up a bank account with over $1,000. So I went from being super excited about $350 to being like through the roof for like $1,200 or $1,300.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, and we opened a bank account with like I said, over $1,000, and that was like just absolutely mind blowing to me. And now my dad, because like my dad thought it was a good idea, right? But he didn't realize like, whoa, like
it's actually a good idea.
Like whoa, this could be something pretty big, right? Yeah. So fast forward. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. We got a lot of rejections, a lot. I mean, I'm going to fast forward a year later. We sold through to over 100 local businesses. Wow. Could you imagine? Like over 100 local businesses we sold these websites for. And of course, at the time we started at $350, but we ended up raising our prices to $650, $750, $850, right? And then we keep growing and then doing other people's websites, big websites, right? Of course, you naturally grow. But you could imagine over that course of the year, with my dad, I watched my dad literally pitch 300 to 400 times.
Yeah, no kidding.
To get that kind of return. To see 100 yeses, we had to see at least, in my opinion, 25% close rate. That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
I'll take 3 no's to get 1 yes.
Absolutely. That's not bad at all.
But again, that just speaks back to what a great salesman my dad was. Like my dad was a rock star salesman. So the experience, I mean, and like I said, the rejections that we would get were at this point in the game, like when you think back to the rejections that we would get, they're so fucking funny. Like the rejections we would get, this is the greatest one, and you'll love this. We would get, my customers aren't online. They don't go online. How great is that? Could you imagine? This is the way, it's a time capsule. The way people were thinking in 1997, 1998. Yeah. My customers aren't online yet. And you know what? I hate to say it, they were right. Kinda. Like, you know what I mean? I know what they meant. They meant older people aren't online. And it was true because the younger generation typically pushes technology forward, even today. Right.
Sure.
Right. Like the young kids, they love Snapchat and they refuse to give it up, and they're still using Snapchat. Or they love Tumblr. They won't give up Tumblr. Right. Like there's these like, or Musically. Right. Like they're all on these platforms that say Gen Xers or baby boomers just won't do. But you know what? If you give it enough time, sometimes they do get there, right? And Facebook is the prime example of that, right? Because it starts with college kids, right? And now your grandma's on it.
Exactly.
My grandma's passed away, but like if she was around, I'm sure she would be on it, right?
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause they love to see everybody's pictures.
Yeah.
So, anyway, these are the kinds of rejections we get. My customers aren't online. It was just, or the internet's a fad. We would get that too. We'd get a lot of interesting rebuttals. But my dad had the greatest response to when people would say my customers aren't online. My dad would be like, but they will be. And when they do get there, don't you want to be there to greet them when they get there?
Man, yeah, good answer.
Right? So good. So good. And he would say that as he walked out the door. Just a solid, just like the consummate professional. He always had the right answer. He always had the right response. And what was great is, over, I think it was like for 2 years that we'd go out and stomp the pavement and like that. So I literally, while my friends were going off to college, in a year's time, I ended up driving around a brand new sports car because our business was doing that well.
Yeah.
I didn't go into debt, right? Like all my other friends did, because, they took on student loans.
Yeah.
And I learned way more, in my opinion, in 2 years than any college education could have ever taught me. Ever. I learned how to work with businessmen that were over twice my age.
Yeah.
Right? Like how to talk to them, how to sell through to them, how to manage expectations, right? How to deliver on time, right? Like I learned how to run a business at 17 years old. And those are all these lessons that I learned at a super young age is what really, catapulted me into the career that I have today. But it was great. I appreciate that I was able to cut my teeth the way I did. Like I seriously started at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I literally started I literally started doing websites for laundromats,
right?
Pizza parlors, pool supplies,
right? The smallest businesses out there, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that's the best way to learn because it's real world experience, right?
Yeah.
But not at the highest level in the world, but you know what? When you're 17 years old, that's where you should start, right? Probably.
I would agree. Right? Yeah, you don't deserve to be at the top. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, fast forward a couple of years, the .com crash ended up happening, which was, that sucked. Yeah. That was terrible because, literally then everyone was like, and then I felt like an idiot because I believed so much in the internet and everyone's like, oh, the internet's over. .com, it's over. .com crash, right? Mm-hmm. Pets.com. Everybody who went, if you had a .com at the end of your name, you were going public, right? Like that's what was happening. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. Like it's over. It's over. Really? Is it over?
Yeah.
I kind of didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I ended up getting into an interesting little pocket of like internet counterculture at the time, mm-hmm. Which is a lot of fun. I ended up creating Flash cartoons. I ended up teaching myself Flash, which was a great time. I ended up creating some super viral content. I was on a website called Newgrounds. I don't know if you remember that website, but it was kind of a predecessor to or precursor. I'm sorry. It was a precursor to like what YouTube is today. Wow. It was essentially a community where animators could upload their Flash animations, which inherently, like I said, kind of became what YouTube is, but not with animations, with video, because when YouTube ended up first going live, I think it was 2002, 2000. Yeah. I think 2002 it went live.
Early, yeah.
Yeah. They ended up using a Flash player, right? And now they don't use Flash like they, but it was essentially a Flash player of video, and they figured out how to compress the video and so on and so forth. And then that kind of killed the Newgrounds community, and everybody kind of started migrating
to YouTube. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, like a MySpace, Facebook kind of play. It was kind of exactly what kind of happened there. But I had a lot of fun. I honed my skills even more. Although the business dried up, I didn't waver. You know what I mean? I didn't like say like, well, I'm just going to kind of, pack in playing on the computer, like, and teaching myself. I was like, fuck that. Like, I didn't necessarily know it was going to come back around again, but I didn't care.
Right. You can stick with it no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care. I was like, you know what? No, this is my thing. Right. This is my thing. I love it. I love creating, and this is my thing, and I'm going to do it. I don't care if I get paid to do it or not. You know what I mean? Like, my bet was hedged. I was having fun. It didn't matter to me, right? Yeah. So fast forward a couple of years later, I ended up going to work at another small agency, another local agency. I moved on from there, and then I ended up taking another job where I'm skipping over a couple of jobs just to kind of get through this as much as I can. But I ended up working at Citigroup for a little while, and I took a job as a video editor. Because I really believed in video. And when I took the job as a video editor, I really wasn't a video editor. I knew what a good video looked like. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I didn't know how to really edit video though. You know what I mean? Like a little bit. Right. I knew basics, right? I maybe edited a couple of videos previously.
You pirated Final Cut Pro or whatever was out then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have called myself a professional video editor, right? For sure, right? But I had a job offer come my way. I took it. Because I thought to myself, I have a funny feeling the internet's going to go the way of video, right? I felt it. Felt it. I was like, this is going to be the way video goes. Video is going to take over the internet, and I didn't think it was going to happen overnight or going to happen anytime soon at that point, but I had a funny feeling like video was going to be very, very important to the internet. So I said, you know what, I better teach myself a little bit about video. And when that offer came through, although I wasn't comfortable with my skill set, I said, you know what, this will give me an opportunity to learn and to get paid while learning, right? Yep. So I took the opportunity, and I actually really loved it. I loved doing the video stuff, and I took all my skills that I had learned within Photoshop and within Flash, and they, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know at the time, but they were transferable to a program called After Effects.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like,
very similar.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. So I could take my Photoshop stuff, and I could take the animation skills I learned in Flash, and I could start to create these cool like Photoshop moving graphics. Like, yes, I am. So once I figured that out, I again it was like a rediscovery. You know what I mean? And again, I got super passionate, and when I did get the job, they put me into this like multi-million-dollar editing suite, which was super sweet because I didn't have to set up at home. I had three monitors. I had two work monitors and then a preview monitor on this like crazy it was a private room with like dope sound. Like it was like I was a kid in a candy store. You know what I mean? So I ended up teaching myself how to do like 3D animations and all these like cool fun things. And within like a couple of months, I was their top editor and motion graphics guy. Wow. Like I was their go-to guy. They were like you're gonna get like I ended up getting like all the cool like fun jobs, and all the other guys that were in there ended up hating me. They all hated me. It was, and I was like I don't understand why these guys don't like. There was a couple there was one guy that liked me. He got along with me, but most of these guys were older guys. They were guys that like kind of they grew up cutting tape.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like literally, you know what I mean? And kind of came along and like really pushed the technology to limits, and then people weren't really doing that. And so while I was there, I ended up getting a call from a friend of mine who I worked with very, very early in my career, actually during Staten Island Now. And he said, dude, I'm working over at the Nets. My good friend Adam is working over at the Nets. He said they're looking for a web guy. Said, would you be interested in putting your resume in? He said, I think he'd be perfect for this, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I'll put my resume in. This is for the New Jersey Nets, right? job position that I'd opened, and at the time New Jersey, now they're Brooklyn, right? So I was like, sure, okay, cool, I'll put my resume in, and I didn't really think anything of it because I figured everybody probably wants this job, right? I figured this is it's a high profile position, so I'm like, all right, cool, I'll put my resume in. So I put my resume in, and I didn't hear anything for a little while. I eventually got asked to come in for an interview. I went in for the interview, and I didn't hear anything. I figured I didn't get the job. I was like, okay, I guess I didn't get the job. So literally, like, I think it was like 2 months later, 2 months, I get a phone call. Hey, Adam, it's so-and-so from the Nets. Just wanted to ask you if you're still interested in taking the position. I said, holy shit, I thought you guys gave that job away at this point.
Yeah.
months had passed. I gave up even because I was excited in the beginning, and then all that time had passed. I'd given up. Right. So he's like, yeah. He's like, if you're interested in taking the job, we'd love to have you. Here's the offer. So I said, yeah, I'll take it. No problem. I'll take it. I didn't have to think about it, right?
Yeah.
At the time, I felt like I learned enough in video, in the world of video, that like I was good. I had the knowledge. I didn't like. I wouldn't have said like I'm the best, but I learned enough.
Skill set, yeah.
Yeah, I learned enough that I felt like, all right, cool. I definitely added another really strong tool to my belt, right? To my tool belt, right? Mm-hmm. Really strong skill. So I was like, cool. I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this job because. You know what? And it's so funny because the job actually ended up paying the same. It was a lateral move.
Gotcha.
It wasn't something that I was like making more money. Mm-hmm. You would think, oh, you're going to work for a professional sports team, you're going to make way more money, right?
Yeah.
No, no, that's not the way it worked.
Yeah.
It was a lateral move, but there was two things that I was excited about. Most importantly, I was super excited about going to work with my friend again. Right, because he was my best friend, another one of my really good friends. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go work with him. It's gonna be fun, right? And I'm gonna get to go work with a professional sports team.
Yeah.
Cool. And again, like I wasn't necessarily like a big, huge professional. Like I wasn't a huge like Nets fan, right, at the time. My family was. My brother was a huge Nets fan. My father was a big Nets fan. Go to these games. Growing up, I'd go to these games. And I never in a million years thought I'd work at a professional sports team. Never in a million years. Yeah. Never in a million years growing up. If you would have told me you're going to be working at a professional sports team, like would I have been like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You just don't know. Yeah. You just don't know. So what ended up happening was I took the job. I started working there, and man, I had my work cut out for me. They needed a lot of work. Like it was like before me, they had a writer doing all the web stuff, and I was like, yeah, like this is terrible. Like it was like the website was awful. Like no one was going to that website, Yeah. And then on top of that, it wasn't just their website; it was everything that went along with its website, right? Like it was the entire organization that you needed to take care of, right? So then, and it was my job to take care of everybody's needs. One person, not an entire department.
You are the department.
It was just me. Granted, we had a creative team, which was led up by my really good friend, but it was just me on the web side of things, you know what I mean? Right. And I could simply ask him for graphics, and he would help me create graphics. But I mean, when it came to like coding that thing and making sure that thing worked right and everything, like that was all me, and just me. So literally, I remember getting the job and thinking to myself, like, and my buddy too. My buddy was like. By the way, the reason why I didn't get the call, I think this is like super important. The reason why I didn't get the call for like 2 months to say like you got the job, I heard they ended up interviewing like 30 different applicants.
Wow.
So like that made like it was torture for me to wait that long, but it was nice. It made me feel good that I wasn't the guy that got the gig because I was friends with my buddy.
Yeah.
They didn't want to show any favoritism, so they definitely went through all their paces. So again, I had this feeling in me of, well, I better not embarrass my friend because I did get this job, right? I did get this job. So I felt like when I got there, I had so much to fucking prove, and I wasn't going to make my friend look bad. And on top of that, I wanted to make sure they understood that they hired the right guy.
Yeah.
Right? So I worked my fucking ass off when I got this job. I literally did. I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm changing everything. I'm changing everything. I wanted my impact to be felt immediately, you know? So I literally would get in and stay there and be the last person in that office, like for the first 3 months. Like I was in there just like grinding, just crushing it, like just like completely redesigning the entire website. Again, I knew a lot about Flash, and I also knew a lot about video, remember, because I just came from a job that had some video stuff, right? So I was like, I'm going to take all that stuff, and I started like mashing it up all together. And again, this is 2006, I think. So again, like these kinds of things weren't really being executed yet.
Very early, yep.
Super early. So I completely revamped their website. We made it look amazing compared to all the other team sites. And then on top of that, we created this really awesome dancer site for the cheerleaders. Or don't call them cheerleaders, they're called dancers. I made that mistake while I was there.
Nice.
So yeah, they're dancers. So we made this really awesome interactive website for the dancers, and for the in-game presentation, they took videos of the girls that would be kind of moving or dancing, or whatever. And I spoke to the video guy. I said, "Give me all that footage. Give me all that footage. I'm gonna make a website that's interactive with the girls, and like when you roll over the girls, like they'll dance and they'll have their profile." And so I made this really, really cool dancer site that nobody had ever seen before. Like it was like really, really cool with the video, and it was just super duper over the top. Like it was dope. It was really cool. No teams had done anything like this. And like I said, it was super early. We did this. We launched it, and the response to it was off the charts within the league.
Right.
You know what I mean? The league saw it. The NBA league saw it, and they sent out an email to the entire NBA saying, you know, check out what Adam Alson over at the Nets did for the dancers. So it was a really nice pat on the back from the NBA. Yeah. Which was cool. Like that was really cool. Like, and again, I didn't do these things with the idea that, you know, this would come down the pipe. I just did it because I'm like, shit, I want this shit to be dope.
Amazing. Yep. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm doing this, so like, you know, like why not make it look as dope as possible? So that's what we did, and all the teams were like flipping out, and like they were like, this is the coolest. And I had a couple of teams email me and ask me what agency did it. They all thought it was done by an agency, and I'm like, wow. No, I did it. I did it. Wow. So they were like, oh, okay. And then two teams ended up trying to hire me away from the Nets.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, obviously I didn't tell anybody at the Nets, and I didn't take the jobs because, again, I was still young. One job would have moved me over to the West Coast. One would have been a move not too far, but I wasn't moving. I just wasn't interested in moving at the time.
Yeah.
So I didn't take the job, although it would have been cool. I'm sure it would have been a really cool experience. But, you know, fast forward again, towards the end of that year, I ended up winning New Hire of the Year, which was really, really nice. Because again, like I said, I wanted my impact to be felt. Like they didn't have a guy that was really focused on making sure they had the greatest online experience.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure when they did bring that guy on that they were sure.
Choice. Yeah.
Yeah. They brought the right guy in, and so sure enough, I definitely felt that they felt that, because like I said, I got a really nice award, and I got along with everybody over there at the Nets as well. It was just a really great experience. And, you know, I will say, like, you know, anybody that ever asks me about working for a professional sports team, I always say, you know, definitely take it, but if you're in it for the money, don't, you know, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
not as big as you think on that front. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not something you're going to make a lot of money, you know, while you're there, but what's great about it is the experience that you get and the relationships that you make. Right. And again, while I was there, man, all the people that I've met while working at the Nets, I've kept in touch with, you know, pretty much to this day. Right. You know what I mean? All of them are really, really, I consider them really good friends of mine. You know, and of course, you know, time goes by and we don't, you know, you don't see them or talk to them every day. But when you do talk to them, it's right. Like you picked up like where you never, you know, stop talking. Yeah. You know, and it's like, it's almost like, again, I never went to college, but I would assume it's very much like the friends you make in college.
Right.
I mean, it's almost like an alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's your class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's essentially your alum.
Right.
So, I mean, for me anyway, and those were relationships that I valued immensely. And again, I didn't do it purposefully. I didn't do it calculated. I just did it because these are people who I really genuinely got along with. Mm-hmm. And what was cool is after you move on from the Nets, so you move on from a professional sports team, those relationships, again, because you're super young when you're working on a sports team. Typically, these front offices and these back offices of teams, of professional sports teams, are typically young individuals, right? Mm-hmm. The grunt workers, anyway, right?
Yeah.
What ends up happening is they're great people and they're talented to begin with, and that's why they're there to begin with. They're not just young kids filling a spot. They're typically diamonds in the rough, right? And they all go on to do really, really cool things. I can't tell you. I got friends at the MLB. I got friends at the New York Yankees. I got friends at the Giants, MSG. Like, you name it. It goes on and on and on. There. So I literally, all of my contacts that I started working with early on have all spied out into other avenues of professional sports. And so, God, I can't tell you how useful that's been.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what I mean? So whenever I need something at any team, I think like, oh, do I know somebody there? And if I don't, okay, cool, I could probably get to them through somebody I know. Yeah. And typically, it's like, 1 degree of separation away.
Right.
That would be the most. You know what I mean? Typically, I have a beeline to somebody in sports or an organization or whatever we need. But, for the most part, like I said, 1 or 2 tops degree of separation away, tops, which has been so helpful in my career. And, for that reason alone, I don't care if they don't pay you, you should take the job.
Like, right, just for the connections.
It's so valuable. And here's the thing. Again, it's a mixed bag. It's a chance. It's a gamble, because you don't know that everybody within that class is going to go on to do great things.
Right.
But it's a numbers game. Chances are a lot of people are going to go on to do some great things. And they do. So I always say, whenever you take a position, make sure that there's more value in taking that job than just the paycheck.
Yeah, that you're gonna learn more, like you said, with the video job or connect more. Absolutely, yeah, that's definitely good advice. The money's just what you need, like, in a sense, to do it or get by. But yeah, the connections you make or how you expand your network is huge.
Exactly. So with that being said, I worked at the Nets for 2.5 seasons, something like that. I made some really great contacts. I ended up picking up Vince Carter as a client while I was there, which was kind of wild. That's a crazy story. I ended up becoming friendly with Vince's half brother, Jeff, and we would go to like lunch every day, and well, not every day. We would go to lunch. We became pretty cool friends. And again, he was doing the community service stuff over at the Nets, and he would have some needs, so I'd help him out, and we would get along really, really well. And so one day, I'll never forget, we were grabbing lunch, and I remember Vince's site was like still purple, and that was like because he was on the Raptors before the Nets, right? Right? So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, like Vince's site definitely needs a facelift. He's been on the Nets, I think, at that time for 2 or 3 years, and the site was still
yeah.
Right. But again, like, athletes just weren't paying attention to their internet presence the way they are today at that time. Right. So while I was at lunch with Jeff, I said, Vince's site's still purple. Right. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I know. He's like, yo, you should do it. And I was like, really? I was like, okay, like, I was excited again. So I literally went home. That was a Friday. I'll never forget. It was a Friday, and I went into back to my parents' house and spent an entire weekend and designed without a dollar of anybody paying me, without a dollar being paid. I designed his entire website. Like I designed the mock-ups like in Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
So that way I had something to show on Monday. I was like going in on Monday. I'm like, I'm not playing around, right? It was that serious to me. So I designed the entire site over the weekend, and for the time, that site was dope. It was a really cool, it was a really flashy, like slick looking, really cool like sports website, right? For an athlete.
Yeah.
So I take it in and I show it to Jeff. I printed it out. I printed it out on paper. Right?
I remember those days.
Right? I printed it out. I showed it to him. Jeff was like, "Yo, this is awesome. He's gonna love this, right?" So I think that day they had a game, and he showed it to Vince in the locker room, and Vince was like, "That's dope." He's like, "Let's do this," right? So I was like, and then Jeff was like, "Yo, Vince loves it." I was like, "Nice, that's great." So I set up a meeting with his agent after the game, like the next following week, whatever it was, and I met with his agent in the locker room or whatever, like a family room, and we had a little talk, and he was like, "Well, how much money do you want for it?" And I'm thinking, I would have did it for free at the time, you know what I mean? Like you want to pay me? Like, this is great, right? So they ended up paying me, and so that was like my first professional athlete website that I had done for an all-star, right? Like it's Vince Carter, like he's a stud, 8-time all-star, Olympic gold medalist, and dunk champion, right? Like it was a big deal, right? And might I add, like Vince and his family are the nicest people in the world, and all those accolades, and don't mean anything if you don't got a good heart, and Vince is consummate philanthropic maniac. I mean, he's constantly giving back to his community, and so is his mother and the rest of his family. They do some really amazing things, and they've treated me like family, and I still work with him, which is wild. Like we're going like over a decade. We're over a decade into this, and I'm still, working with him, and it's just great. It's just awesome.
So where is that? So it sounds like, what a crazy adventure to like go from, very similar a story I completely relate of like no internet to this is a computer to fast forward years later you get to build out some of the biggest websites in the sports industry. Yep. Where has that landed you today? Like what do you do now?
So sure. This is I'll just kind of glaze over this. So what ended up happening there from the Nets, because I knew there was a very low glass ceiling there. You're gonna. I mean, you could be a lifer at these teams, but that's the thing. You don't want to do that. You want to. You honestly. It's like one of those things. Like honestly, you should, if you're going to work at a professional sports team at a lower level, like if you're going to kind of be like one of these kind of utility players at the team, my suggestion would be like 3-4 years and then get out, like almost like a college stay, right? Like do your thing, get your experience, make your contacts, and then go on to the next thing. Especially if you feel like you got a real low glass ceiling, like I did. Like I wasn't going. Where am I going to go? Like you
already maxed out year one. Yep.
Right. Like you're not going anywhere as a media director. Like that's it. Like you're there and that's it. There's nowhere else to go. So I ended up taking another job, working at an agency that had properties like Muhammad Ali, Tom Brady, Reggie Bush, the Jonas Brothers, LaDainian Tomlinson, you name it. They had
big names.
The biggest names in Hollywood and in sports and music at the time. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have anybody really on deck that could kind of lead the way for their web development. They didn't really have anybody yet. They had two other guys. That was it. And then there was like a lot of account managers. So they made me an offer, basically on the spot, of me coming in for a quote unquote lunch. I was supposed to come in for a lunch, and they made me an offer. They said, "Listen, we got all these properties, and the first one you'd work on would be Muhammad Ali." I said, "Oh my God, you kidding me? Like this is such a no-brainer."
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna get to work on Ali.com. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Absolutely, sure." So my buddy ended up doing Muhammad Ali's logo, and then I did the website. Fast forward 2 years later, it ended up winning a Webby, which was a really nice thing. We created this really cool Muhammad Ali interactive flash timeline and we created this thing called My Ollie Story. We did a lot of really cool things with the Ollie brand, and we were nominated 2 years in a row, and then we ended up winning it on the second year, I believe. And then we won a couple of other Webbies and Tellies and really cool awards while I worked at that agency, and I got to work with some really awesome brands, like, I mean, like I said, Tom Brady, Reggie Bush, the Jonas Brothers, and they were huge. The Jonas Brothers were huge at the time. We worked Demi Lovato. We worked with, like, we were doing some really, really cool work. Again, believe it or not, the space still wasn't matured yet. The social media layer really wasn't in place
there
yet.
At all, yeah.
Like, and you know what? That's what really kind of ties it all together and really made it sticky for people, in my opinion. But that wasn't really there yet. I mean, the people were online, definitely, but it wasn't what it is today. And I was with that agency for 3 years, and I decided it was time for me to move on. I felt like I'd learned a lot of lessons. I'd worked with a lot of huge blue chip brands, and I was ready to do my own thing again.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, this is where another valuable lesson comes in. I had an idea for a startup. I wanted to do that. I was like, all right, cool. Created enough worked with enough multi-million-dollar brands. Time to create my own. Let's do this. Right. So I literally took all the money that I had saved in my bank, and it's like, all right, cool. This is going to be my war chest. This is going to be what I live and die on. And we raised some money for that startup. Ended up within a year, a little over a year, I ended up getting my ass kicked. Like with that startup, kind of blew through all my money, and I was like, oh shit. And like I never felt like I was starting over again so much in my life at that point. You know what I mean? Like I really felt like, how the hell did this happen? I did all these great things, and now I feel like I just got the shit kicked out of me. I wasn't happy. Which is the most important. I wasn't happy, like, because here's the thing: with doing a startup, you don't make any money. You're literally, living, fist to mouth, right? Like literally, like just, I was literally eating pizza and Coke every day because it was the cheapest thing that I could find, and it was like, whatever, I could get food into my stomach, and that's what you do in New York anyway. But but I was doing it even more so because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to go out. I was doing my startup thing, and that was it. And literally, I would have people that would reach out to me and hit me up and say, "Hey, Adam, we need a website, we need a logo, we need this, we need that," because I was doing more than just websites. We were doing a lot of different things, and so people would hit me up and ask me to help them out with their projects, and I'd be like, "No, I'm doing my startup. I'm laser focused. I'm just doing this right now," and in hindsight, that was probably a big mistake that I made, because I didn't allow myself another avenue to make additional dollars. So that way I could basically stop the bleeding in a weird way. Right. So I was just going through all my funds that I had saved. I was burning through everything, which sucks. Right. So you're going broke. And then on top of that, you're going into a situation where, your startup's not making money, and, tensions are super high and everybody's pissed, right? And it's like a super tense environment. So you're like, great. So I'm not making any money. My social life sucks because I don't have money to go out. And then on top of that, I'm not making any money and everybody's pissed. Like this is the worst. It's the worst, right? So I'm like I got to get out of this, and then I had to leave that startup, which sucks because it was something that I founded, and that that's a really tough pill to swallow. It's a really, really, really tough one. But again, it's one of those experiences that you gotta just swallow it, and move on and take all those lessons that you learned and make sure they do not happen again.
Yes, that's right? For sure.
But it's like, dude, if you make these same mistakes again, well, then you're an idiot.
Then you're an idiot. Yeah. First time it's a learning lesson. Second time you're an idiot. Yep.
Right. Exactly. Right. So I was like, okay. So now at this point, I'm like, okay, I got to go back to what I'm good at. Right. And I knew what I was good at was, an agency life, create, a marketing agency. So it was a no-brainer for me to start that up again. Right. So I was like, okay, cool, full circle. So now I'm back where I was, where I'm 17 years old again. right? But now, but obviously much older, much wiser,
Yeah.
with a Rolodex, and now I'm not shy anymore,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a completely different person, right? But now I control my own destiny, and I said, you know what? All right, I'm going to go back to what I'm good at. And again, I really took another really big bet, because at the time I had decided this, I literally had $2,000 left in my personal bank account.
Yeah.
$2,000. That's nothing. And I was living in Manhattan. I was living in Manhattan, where, by the way, my rent was over $2,000 a month.
Yep.
Right. So literally, I had no money to eat or live, but I had one. I looked at it like I got 30 more days to figure out how I'm going to make this work.
Yeah.
Right. So I literally put it out there to my friends. Right. And I was like, guys, I'm open for business again. Open for business. And so literally, a friend of mine hit me up, said, come meet me for lunch. I said, okay, cool. I met him for lunch. He said, I got a client that I'm working with. He's like, I think you could definitely help out. And it was a guy who I previously had worked with. And I said, great. And he said, what do you need to get started or whatever? I'm like, it's going to be X amount of work, whatever. Like, if they could, cut us a check for like $5,000, I think that'll be good. Right. So literally within whatever it was, 2 weeks or whatever, I had a check for $5,000. Nice. And again, I didn't even look at it. I didn't even look at it like $5,000. I looked at it like, holy shit, this is 2 more months.
Yep, you can survive a little longer.
Right. It's like, okay, this is 2 more months of runway, because that was the way we looked at things at the startup, right? At the startup, it's like, what's your runway, right? What do you got? How long could you make this thing last, right? So I was like, all right, cool. So now total, I got 3 months. I got 3 months to make this thing work.
Yeah.
So I freaking grinded my face off, just out emailing, any other additional people, networking, going out, traveling, meeting new people. And before you know it, somehow, some way, I was able to put enough pieces together where I created a business that was starting to sustain itself. And it was, granted, it was just me. It was just me at that time.
Right.
But at that point, I like I said, I was able to put enough pieces of the puzzle together where I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to hire my first person. I'm going to hire somebody.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to hire somebody. Right. So I hired my first person, and, he came on board. He was a good friend of mine. Started, he came out of the gates screaming, killing it, crushing it. Right. First month.
Yeah.
Doing everything I needed him to do. Month 2, ghost.
Isn't that how it always goes? Oh my God.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And like, cause I'm on edge as it is, right? Because like I'm trying to build on a business. And, long story short, I had to let him go. I let him go pretty fast because I wasn't playing around.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that a good mentor of mine told me. It's like, it's not about hiring faster, it's about firing faster.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So I was like, I wasn't waiting around to see if this guy was gonna, get better.
Right.
It's just for what? Especially when, the stakes were just so high for me at that point. I was like,
right.
I got momentum, and I wasn't gonna let it go. Not again.
Right.
Like, no way. Like, I just came out of this like shitty experience. Like I'm like things are going good, and I'm not letting a good thing go. No effing. I wasn't taking anything for granted. Not one fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's okay. This guy's got to go. And it sucked because he was a really good friend of mine. And so, when you mix business with friends, it's really, really tough, especially when you got to let one go,
yeah,
especially when they
sure.
go the right way. So I ended up hiring somebody else. They ended up crushing it. Right. And that enabled me to hire the next person and hire another person and hire another person and hire another person. And it's so weird. What ended up happening, like I said, my career kind of came full circle, and I mean that because literally every person that I worked with through my career in all these positions, the Nets, that other agency that I worked at, everybody came out from the woodwork. Adam, I see you're doing this now. Like, yeah. Oh, we have this. I'd love to work with you on this. Cool. So
Nice.
Before you know it, my network came back around again, and it's not. And I always say this. Look, I know there's always somebody better than you out there. There is always something. There's always going to be somebody better than you at X. Whatever you're doing, I don't care what you're doing. There's going to be somebody better. Like it is what it is. Even LeBron, right?
Yeah.
LeBron thought he was the best, right? And then all of a sudden, this little kid, Steph Curry, comes along and starts draining threes all day, right? And then he steals some of your shine. Yeah. So look, I don't get me wrong. I'm very, very proud of all the work that we pump out. I think we put out like some really, really great work. But at the end of the day, it's relationships.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all relationships, man. And when you're able to leave a good taste in somebody's mouth, and give them a great experience across the board with your work, with your ethics, right, with your demeanor, and just with your general being and being a good person in general. People want to work with you. They want to come back around again. They want to capture that that lightning in a bottle that they might have had with you the first time.
Yeah.
So that's been an amazing piece. So now at this point in the game, I mean, we're working with some really awesome clients. I'm very, very proud of the business that we built. We're still working with a lot of athletes, entertainers. We also work with a lot of brands and CPG clients, and our services have grown since we started, which is now, believe it or not, it's 5 years. We're 5 years in business.
Wow,
which is awesome, which is wild. Most companies don't make it out of their first year or two. Yeah. So for me, again, it's not something I ever take for granted. And I know for a fact, like it's not just me that was able to carry us over these 5 years. It was my entire team putting in the effort that they did, and I appreciate everybody who helps me, push the ball forward every day. It's a very, very special thing. And I will say, one of the things I'm most proud of with my company, because I've come from so many drama-ridden situations with my past experiences. In 5 years, my company has not had not 1 ounce of drama.
That's awesome. That's even better.
And honestly, I'm big on culture. Mm-hmm. I'm big on what is the culture of the company. Yeah. And I think the culture that we've created within our I want to call it a community, because it is a community. It's like a family. Everybody watches each other's backs and helps out wherever they can. I like to think I set my team members up for success by putting them into a situation where I know they can succeed, mm-hmm. and not need to be micromanaged.
Yeah.
And if you could set people up to do what they need to do and do it well, because that's what they do. They do that specific duty well.
Yeah.
Let them do their thing. That's why you hired them. Yeah. Don't be over your shoulder. Don't, because you're just going to piss people off.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I like to do. I like to put people in a situation where they're wholeheartedly accountable, mm-hmm. for whatever task or duty that they may have, or mission they may have, and I let them run with the ball. It's your ball.
Yeah.
It's your ball. Here's a little guidance if you need anything. Right. If you need anything, of course, let me know. I'm always here to help and support you in any which way you need. But I'm not going to be the guy that's over their shoulder and be like, no, do it like this.
Right.
Because if that's the case, I should just do it.
Right.
Right.
I'm wasting. No point in hiring anybody.
I'm frustrating them, making them mad, and I'm just creating tension within the relationship. So, and that's the thing too. It's like, if I hired you to do something, like I hired you to do something, I didn't.
Right.
I don't want to waste. I need to focus somewhere else.
Right.
I hired you to do this because I need to be somewhere else. If I wanted to do it, I wouldn't need you. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So with that in mind, let the people do what they need to do. My whole career, I've always had somebody trying to micromanage me.
Yeah.
Always, and I hated it. I'm like, what's that? The reason I'm here is because I have knowledge. Yeah. I have knowledge in this particular area. And you know what? It's so funny. And not only with people that work with me do I do that. I do that with clients as well.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get a lot of clients that are going to tell you the way they want, whatever they want. Mm-hmm. And I go, well, when you walk into a doctor's office, right, and you tell the doctor what's ailing you, and the doctor says take 2 of these, you're going to argue with him and say, no, I think I should take 2 of those.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It's like, no, like, why did you come to me? Like, like you and the better the clients that really get that are the best clients that you'll ever have.
Yeah, for sure. They get
I
it.
mean, yeah, exactly. It's like, so, with that being said, I'm really, really proud of the team. I'm really proud of, like I said, no drama. That's one of the,
That's a perk, man. That's awesome.
I know it's a very random thing to be proud of, but it's honestly one of the biggest things I'm proud of.
Yeah.
Because I've seen drama kill companies.
Yeah.
Sure. Like they're huge distractions. You know how much time people lose by this he said, she said nonsense, and people can't get along, and it's like, and that's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, at the end of the day, you really got to love what you're doing. And if you love what you're doing, and you love the people that you're doing it with, man, it just makes your life so much easier. Here, look, life is super hard as it is, right?
Yeah.
We gotta worry about staying healthy,
yeah.
right? We gotta worry about our health. We gotta worry about our family members, the people we love, our friends, right?
Yeah.
Like, and there's enough drama there, right?
Yep.
And most of our lives is work. So, I just like keeping work and career as easy going as possible. Look, it's not going to be easy, right? Like, work is not easy. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. But you know what? When you're doing something that you love, your bet is hedged, where, even when it really, really fucking sucks, which sometimes it does, you have these days where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yep.
Right. But then you find center again, because you're like, oh, I know why, because I love what I'm doing.
And I'm with all these people that I love. Yep.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you come back to center, and you're like, okay, I get it. And that's the thing. Success. And that's the thing too. I got a lot of people that come to me and they say, oh, you're successful. Like, and I'm like, you're okay, great. Like, but success. And here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. And I think people look at me and they go, oh, you're successful, you could relax. Right. Like, and I go, whoa.
Way.
Like, no, that's not how it works. Success is the ultimate moving target.
Yeah.
Right. Like, success. Like, here's the thing. You want to be successful. Like, cool. Like, success is easy to achieve. Right. 'Cause in my opinion, success is a milestone. Right. Yeah. It's something that it's like, okay, cool. I'm successful.
Yep.
I'm successful here. Like, cool. Almost like I won a game. Right. I won a game. You want to win a championship? You better win every freaking game that season or that series to win that championship, right?
Yeah.
You want to be the best? You really want to achieve success? Well, you got to win every day. You got to be successful every day. And that's what I think a lot of people lose sight of. They think, like, success is some sort of goal that can just be achieved one time.
Right.
And you
definitely not that easy.
No, you gotta go out and win games every day.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's not just about being successful once. It's about being successful time in and time out, over and over again. And I get, like I said, coming back to culture and coming back to no drama, coming back to working with people you love, coming back to relationships. All these things are the main ingredients in living a successful, or creating a successful career. There's a lot of things, and I think a lot of people just lose sight of that, and a lot of people go, well, why aren't these things happening for me, right? Like, why and it comes back to the thing that you first opened with, which was opportunities are taken, not given, right?
Yeah.
Like. And I'm a strong believer in that. Like, people, I think they put a couple of things out and then they wait. Right. You can't. You got to go get it.
Yeah, every day, like you said, every single day, every game, every opportunity, you got to win it. Because if you sit, then somebody else is eating your lunch. So
yeah, absolutely. And I always say this too. Like, and especially for these people that do sit around and wait. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize, the ingredients that they need to create opportunities are literally right in front of them.
Right.
Whether it be a relationship they have with somebody, or a product that they have that connections to, or somebody that they know that owns a shop,
Yeah.
right? Whatever it may be, like all you have to do is be that guy that figures out, oh, what if I take A and marry it with B?
Yep.
Oh, that's something completely new,
Yeah.
right? Before you know it, you've created an opportunity. And literally, like for me, that's what I do all day, every day. I'm just constantly figuring out like where's the next opportunity. It's like being a football player looking for the hole, right? Like,
Right.
okay, like I see the opening, there it is,
Right.
right? And the opening might not even be there yet, but they know it's going to be there, so that's where they run, right? And that's exactly what I do every day, and not only with projects that I work on, but with clients, right? Like I'll even hit up clients all day, every day, and be like, hey, we have this thing that we're working on, and I think you guys would be a great fit, right? And before you know it, it's a great opportunity for them, which turns into an opportunity for us.
Right.
And it all starts off in a good place, and everybody ends up happy, right? So that's the thing. Success is a moving target. It really, really is.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, terrific, Adam. This has been really, really valuable. I appreciate it.
I got more.
I really appreciate it, man. This is fantastic. We're gonna definitely grab all the awesome nuggets that you have in here and put it all together. But man, what great experience and great stories, and definitely just good advice of like the whole thing. I get just great. So super appreciate the time. And how do people connect with you if they want to work with you or learn more about you? What's the best way to find you?
Sure. So obviously you guys could find me on social media. I'm at Adam Alson, ADAMALSON, on all the social media platforms. You could find me there, or you could hit me up at Adam@doubledown.digital. That's Adam@doubledown.digital, not .com. Don't get confused. Don't get it twisted. And if you want to check out our website, you could just go cruise on over to doubledown.digital. You could see all the projects and stuff that we do. And if you have any questions or just want to chat, I'm always open. So you could get a hold of me any which way you want to. I mean, if you want to send a smoke signal or carry a pigeon, I do that too. I'm old school like that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate you being on today, and I think everybody will just find this super valuable, and so did I. So thank you so much.
Appreciate you having me, Gabe.
All right. Awesome.